Senator Cruz, members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen who have endured. My name is Bonnie Fisher, and I'd like to begin with a few words about myself so that you will know that I speak with the authority of an entire professional career spent in public education. I taught English and Latin in the public schools of New Jersey and Indiana for 22 years, retiring from Broad Ripple High School here in Indianapolis 4 years ago. I taught grades 7 through 12. I've been both a university supervisor for student teachers as well as the classroom supervisor, and I've taught undergraduates and graduates and teachers in graduate courses. I've presented professional development seminars for university faculty and worked in executive education department of a university school of business. I earned an MAT in classical studies and a PhD in secondary education. As a corporate employee, I provided federally sponsored education services to teachers in the lower Midwest states, including Indiana. As a board member and officer of Global Education Reforms Watch Incorporated, I now am engaged in collecting, annotating, and analyzing school books from the early 1800s to the present. And I have read the standards. Opposition to the standards, both the Common Core state standards and Indiana's, has been steadily growing this past year. You are already familiar with many of the arguments against the standards, that they effect an end to local control, that they will lead to a national curriculum, that the state legislature and the public were deliberately circumvented until the deal was done, that the standards make the public schools a corporate-designed worker training program. All these statements of opposition are true, and they come from a wide swath of energized citizens. I hope you've been paying close attention to your constituents and their views. This committee is playing now catch-up and trying to regain some governance over Indiana's education. Make no mistake, approve and agree to implement the Common Core state standards, and you will have surrendered that power that is legitimately yours as legislators and the people's spokesmen to the corporations that control the state and national chambers of commerce, the corporate foundations such as Gates, Eli Broad, and Achieve that have driven the push to adopt the standards, and the testing and the publishing companies that will profit so handsomely from the standards. It is not likely you will ever get that power back. Your power will be limited to minor matters like setting the dates for the assessments and voting on the minimum number of minutes per week of mandatory physical education. It is in your self-interest as a governing body to reject the standards. More importantly, it is your obligation and responsibility to care for Indiana's children who will suffer under the standards. Indeed, Achieve, the above-mentioned foundations, the chambers of commerce, etc., have only touted benefits to the economy of treating children as human resources. You, however, must consider the present and future welfare of these young and vulnerable human beings who are far more than just economic entities. I read the standards printed in contemporary textbooks and cringe when I put them alongside of the aims in the vintage textbooks of the Global Education Reforms Watch collection. I cringe because the pupils of decades past were better and more thoroughly schooled in the several subjects than today's young people. The standards, whether the Common Core or Indiana's, only require that children do. They do not have to know. Indeed, any subject matter they may need in order to do is treated as just so much just-in-time or nice-to-know information. And since that information has no organic structure, it contributes little or nothing to a child's intellect and has no staying power. The standards will ensure an ignorant adult population who have internalized and acceded to the authorities' prerogative to tell them that they don't measure up and that they themselves are to blame. Such people are not likely to challenge that authority, nor involve themselves in public affairs, nor run for public office, nor even join a union. Their lives will be circumscribed by the workplace and the shopping mall. The evidence for this, and what deeply angers me, is the purpose of these standards. And both the Common Core and Indiana's have the same purpose, that children K through 12 be college and career ready. That's it. Nothing more. How shallow. How dehumanizing to our children. How pernicious to our republic. If the standards will not provide a true education for our young people, what will? A thorough grounding in the liberal arts, a return to the traditional academic subjects which embody real standards of worth and taste, character and action, logic and thought, speaking and writing, knowledge and skill. Superintendent Ritz, after all, was elected by 1.3 million people who objected to Dr. Bennett's proposals and reforms, including the Common Core state standards. That citizen outcry caused the legislature to pause and take stock of the standard situation, which you are now doing. In your deliberations, don't forget those 1.3 million voters. Reconsider the objections they have put before you and think about what I have just said. Then, dump the standards and restore teaching the traditional academic subjects. Thank you.
Thank you very much.